What is up, guys? It's me, the ALE Double X Prince, here to give you another what if. One of the biggest things that people have always talked about is John Cena heel turn. Was it ever meant to happen? Did it need to happen? Well, a lot of people have done it the exact same way. He turns heel after losing to The Rock. Some people do it anything. But honestly, I love the Shield, but to be honest, they never really had a direction. It was just three guys just beating up people for the hell of it, but they don't really have like a leader. They never had a goal. And what if they I mean, they mentioned how like they wanted to like be the next top guys, but in order for that, you have to like separate yourself, I guess. It was just weird and all. But what if deep down John Cena was the one behind the Shield all this time? This would have been perfect TV. Match quality wise, there's some matches that would work, some matches that probably won't work, but for the most part, here it is. What if John Cena was behind the Shield all this time? So we'll start off at Survivor Series 2012. It's going to be the main event: CM Punk, Ryback, and John Cena in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Basically, we'll have the Shield only attack Ryback, only Ryback, and then John Cena is like ready to hit the FU on CM Punk, but CM Punk hits a low blow on John Cena, gets the GTS, hits the GTS 1, 2, 3, and CM Punk just looks like, what the hell? Um, and like weeks later, we have the Shield saying that yes, we have a leader, but we're gonna be our own leaders as well. We're not gonna be focused on paying on just the only reason why we have a leader is because need some we need someone that is willing to put us over. And so in your mind, you're thinking, oh shit, it might be Triple H because they're NXT guys. But then as time goes on, and then later some people start thinking that CM Punk because he's the one always like attacking. And throughout the times you'll see them attack people and be like, oh shit, who could it be? But then at TLC we do the Shield versus Ryback and Team Hell No, like in real life. Great match, great showing for the Shield. Uh Basically all of this stays the same. Then we do The Rock versus CM Punk at the Royal Rumble. We do have the lights go out, and 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 then we have The Rock laid down on the table. Previously on SmackDown, CM Punk says that I could lose the belt if you guys interfere in my match. But remember, I didn't never told you guys to attack Ryback. I never told you guys to attack any of these guys. Um, but then people start getting suspicious on the internet, going like, "Hey, maybe it is John Cena. They haven't literally attacked him. They've helped him in his match against the Big Show. Remember that when he attacked the Big Show?" So John Cena thinks of a backup plan. We do not see any of this, by the way, but basically John Cena has an idea of like making sure people don't think he's the one behind the Shield. So after he wins the Royal Rumble, he says that he'll face the WWE champion and he'll take on every upcomer that there is. Then the Shield come out, then Ryback and Sheamus come try to save him. So then at Elimination Chamber, we do the Shield versus John Cena, Sheamus, and Ryback. In the match, John Cena and Ryback are having like a mix, like like they're kind of like not getting along, which is what causes them the match, and the Shield wins once again. And around this time, The Rock and CM Punk battle for the at Elimination Chamber for the WWE Championship. The Rock wins that match, and then we have CM Punk says that, listen, John, you've never beaten me, and you will always be a failure because you never beat the best in the world. And so then we do a match like in real life. John Cena and CM Punk, winner faces The Rock at WrestleMania. CM Punk wins the match after hitting that pile driver. John Cena's knocked out cold. CM Punk pins him. And then Vince McMahon comes like, hey, Listen, Punk, after opportunity, and I still don't believe that you're a draw. And that is why, because the Royal Rumble winner always gets a shot, I'm going to make it up to you, Punk. It's going to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania. It's going to be The Rock, John Cena, and CM Punk for the WWE Championship. Um, So, just to give you a cap off, this is what the card will look like at WrestleMania. It's gonna be the Shield opening the show against Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Big Show. Keep the match the same, but instead of Big Show turning heel, Randy Orton turns heel. This will be important later. Ryback actually beats Mark Henry instead of Mark Henry beating Ryback. He hits the shell shock, and Ryback gets a big moment. Team Hell No beats Dolph Ziggler and Biggie Langston, like in real life. Chris Jericho beats Fandango because that was stupid for Fandango to beat Chris Jericho. The World Championship will be a little bit different. Um, Instead of Alberto Rio versus Jack Swagger, we're going to do Alberto Rio versus Christian. This will be important later. Christian wins, then he gets cashed in on Dolph Ziggler, but he'll get the belt back down the road. Brock Lesnar versus Triple H, keep that the same. And because we don't have an Undertaker match to fill up that spot, we'll do the Miz and Wade Barrett for the IC belt because the belt needs to be on the card at least. And the Miz has a good moment for himself. But then we move on to the main event: The Rock, John Cena, and CM Punk. Uh, the matches just kick ass. Around this time, CM Punk starts to slowly turn into a babyface. People are cheering on him instead of John Cena or The Rock. People are going for CM Punk, CM Punk. And then we have CM Punk have a good showing because he's in the main event of WrestleMania. CM Punk hits the Anaconda Vice on John Cena. John Cena is about to tap out for the first time. People are like, oh shit, he's going to beat him. And then the Shield comes out. They beat him to the outside. They do the triple powerbomb on CM Punk. They finally attack CM Punk for once. And then the the Rock and John Cena, they stand together to fight the Shield. And then John Cena turns around, smacks The Rock, and then all four of them attack him. They do the Shield powerbomb and FU. 1, 2, 3. John Cena is the new WWE champion. And then the Shield do this with the hands, and then John Cena puts his hand as well, holding the WWE Championship. Everybody's gonna be like, "Boo, boo, boo! That is horrible." Or maybe they'll cheer. Who knows? But then the next night on Raw, the first thing you see is the Shield, no entrance. They're just already in the ring, and they talk about how they needed a leader, someone that's gonna help us stay at the top, and that is why we brought in John Cena. And John Cena, the reason why he brought the Shield is because he is tired of just the year that he had. In my booking, in my fantasy, Brock Lesnar beat the crap out of him, and he won. So he lost to Brock Lesnar. He failed to win the WWE Championship. He lost to The Rock. He got divorced. All just 2012 was a terrible year for John Cena, but that's why he's about to finally do the one thing you guys have always asked for, and that is to turn heel, turn on you guys because you guys turned on me. So why should I keep cheering for you guys? Just a heelish promo. You know John Cena could cut a good promo. And then around this time, Ryback kind of comes back and wants to fade him. So now it's going to be heel John Cena versus babyface Ryback. The roles are switched. We keep the moment where Ryback throws Cena through the freaking stadium, the stage. We keep that moment. Also on that card, Dean Ambrose wins the U.S. belt, and Roman and Seth win the tag belts. So all four now are champions. That's going to be very important later. At Payback, we'll continue the whole Dean Ambrose versus Kane, the Shield versus Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton for the tag belts. We keep all of that the same, and then the main event instead of the 3 stages of hell match, we just do the ambulance match, and hopefully we don't get a cheap ass ambulance. We actually get a legit one. John Cena wins that. John Cena is still your WWE champion thanks to the Shield. Actually, matter of fact, Seth Rollins is the one driving the ambulance. And just John Cena is just getting heat after heat after heat. And Christian talks about how even though Dolph Ziggler cashed in on me, I won it fair and square once again at Payback. Just if you're wondering what happens with the world title picture, Christian wins at WrestleMania, gets his big moment. They get a rematch on Raw, which leads to Dolph Ziggler cashing in later on Christian, getting in heat. And then we do a triple threat for the world title, which Alberto Del Rio wins. And then at Payback, we'll have Christian beat Alberto Del Rio once again. I know it seems bad for Dolph Ziggler, but let's be real. The guy is not a good world champion. He just doesn't look like a world champion. That's the honest fucking truth. At least Alberto Del Rio could get major heel heat. And you need a babyface Christian for this next moment, because at Money in a Bank, we're only gonna have one Money in a Bank ladder match, and then we're gonna do a title unification match, John Cena versus Christian, um, which John Cena wins. So we vacate the World Heavyweight Championship once and for good. As far as the Money in a Bank winner, a heel Randy Orton wins it. If you're wondering who takes Christian's spot, we'll give it to Chris Jericho. Then around this time, Daniel Bryan was getting super over. So the next night on Raw, John Cena talks about how there's nobody that's worth fighting him at SummerSlam, so he should just take a break. And then people are just yelling, "Yes, yes, yes!" And then he's like, "Daniel Bryan, you guys want Daniel Bryan? He doesn't even proven himself." So we do the gauntlet match like in real life. So Daniel Bryan goes through a gauntlet. He beats Jack Swagger. He beats Antonio Cesaro. And then the final person to come out will be uh, Randy Orton, who is a heel, and Randy Orton loses by disqualification because he's like that much of a heel. And the reason why he did it is because, well, he doesn't say anything, but he wants to have Daniel Bryan up there. So then they have no choice but to do John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. Um, so then John Cena and Daniel Bryan have their match. Triple H is the referee. Basically, he's saying that he believes in Daniel Bryan, but John Cena, he is the face, but I don't like this new John Cena. I gotta make sure he keeps everything straight. And if the Shield bothers to try to interfere, he'll take them out one on one. So Triple H is there kind of like as a bodyguard slash referee. What the Shield does, this is gonna be a little bit weird, but um, because in this timeline the Mark Henry retirement goes a little bit different. Instead, after Money in a Bank, Mark Henry comes to announce his retirement. The Shield attack him, do the triple powerbomb on him, and Mark Henry says, "Nope, there's no way I'm gonna retire, letting these fools take over the WWE." Keep in mind, around this time, the Shield is still undefeated because they did not injure the Undertaker, because the Undertaker didn't even show up at WrestleMania 29. That's important later, but RVD and Mark Henry kind of start forming a team. They even try to go for the tag belts, which they fail. And then the Big Show comes back after getting punted by Randy Orton. He comes back still a babyface because he didn't do flippy flop, heel turn, face turn around this time. Instead, the Big Show comes back as a face. So then at SummerSlam, it's RVD, Mark Henry, Big Show, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. The Shield wins once again. They're still undefeated. And the main event, we still do Brock and Punk because that was a great match. We keep that storyline the same, but we do Daniel Bryan and John Cena. We keep the match the exact same way. Daniel Bryan gets his big moment. He wins. And then we hear that John Cena was injured in the match. And then we have Randy Orton come out. They do the pedigree. We do the keep big moment of Daniel Bryan losing. And he's out. John Cena announces that he's injured, but he'll be back. And he trusts that Triple H, the Authority, Randy Orton are going to keep this company great as it should be. And that's when they keep most of the storyline the same. The Shield is disappointed that their leader, John Cena, is going to be taking some time off. But Stephanie comes and makes them an offer to work for them. And we basically have everything up to this point the same, with Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan going through from Night of Champions to Hell in a Cell. The only thing that will be different from this timeline is CM Punk. So CM Punk will continue his feud with Paul Heyman after losing at SummerSlam. Instead, it'll be at Night of Champs. It'll be instead of Curtis Axel. I think Wade Barrett would have made a better Paul Heyman guy. That's my personal opinion. But we'll do CM Punk and Wade Barrett versus Paul Heyman. CM Punk eliminates Wade Barrett, and then it's Paul Heyman and CM Punk. He is ready to destroy Paul Heyman until the Wyatt family come out, interfere, attack CM Punk. Paul Heyman takes advantage. 1, 2, 3. Paul Heyman wins and runs away. Then that's when you first hear he has got the whole world in his hands. At Battleground, we do Punk and Wyatt. Wyatt wins, and then we do the rematch at Hell in a Cell. Inside Hell in a Cell, CM Punk wins that one, the first loss to Bray Wyatt. And around this time, the Shield is still looking strong, even though they lost their tag belts to the Rhodes brothers. And Randy Orton regained his WWE Championship because it got vacated after losing it at NOC, Night of Champions, and the Fast Count. He gets back his belt, the WWE Championship, and they have a big old promo with all the members of the roster, and then CM Punk talks about how he's a fluke champion and that it's time to get back the belt he never got fair and square. So CM Punk is after the WWE Championship, and then they made a match on the show. It's Punk and Bryan versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in the main event, like in the Survivor Series. And it ends with the Shield attacking them. They tease the Shield and the Wyatts down the road, but we'll save that for another time. Around this time, the Rhodes brothers come and help out. And the Big Show, who's also been having trouble with the Authority, he comes and help as well. So then at Survivor Series, it's set up for the main event. It's going to be a 5-on-5. It's going to be Big Show, Cody Rhodes, Goldust, Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk, the baby faces, versus the Shield, Randy Orton, and the returning John Cena. The WWE Championship does not get defended on this card, on the show. So that around this time, Randy Orton is getting too cocky and too annoying. And in the beginning of the match, the Shield and John Cena turn on Randy Orton immediately. They, the baby faces get their moves in. We have Cody Rhodes do a kick on that kick, the springboard kick on Randy Orton. CM Punk hits the GTS. Then Daniel Bryan hits the flying headbutt. 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton is eliminated. So now it's up to John Cena and the Shield to take him on. And this is going to be the first time we see the Shield and John Cena team up. And we have some great moments here back and forth. Roman Reigns is probably going to be the star of this match. He eliminates CM Punk, Goldust. A big markout moment. Cody Rhodes eliminates John Cena. That will get a pop, I guarantee you. And then he immediately gets eliminated by Seth Rollins with a curb stomp. Dean Ambrose gets eliminated by CM Punk somewhere in there. And then the final two from each team is going to be Goldust and Daniel Bryan, and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Those are the final ones. Goldust is just kind of there to give Daniel Bryan some hitters since he is the veteran of all this. How does Big Show get eliminated? Roman Reigns spears him and eliminates him one-on-one, and that'll get people excited for what kind of man Roman Reigns is. So Daniel Bryan eliminates Seth Rollins via tap out, and then Goldust gets eliminated by Roman Reigns, and then it's Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan go back and forth. Daniel Bryan is about to hit the running knee, and it gets reversed into a spear. Roman Reigns gets his big moment. He's the sole survivor. So imagine that Survivor Series 2013 ends with Roman Reigns standing tall. This is before Roman Reigns becomes a star, but this is the moment that you go, this is the night he became a star. Then around this time, the Shield gets jealous of each other, and they can't have their differences. They fail to get back the tag belts. Sheamus returns, takes the belt off of Dean Ambrose, the U.S. belt, because around this time it was just boring. It was a boring reign, anyways. Mainly because um the reason why is they wanted to break Lex Luthor's record. I hate when they try to force something and it fails. So I just get the belt off of him, give it to Sheamus. Because honestly, Sheamus was a pretty good US champion. But the main event of TLC will be John Cena winning his match again, Daniel Bryan being the final survivor. CM Punk has beef with Orton. So it's going to be a fatal four-way TLC match for the WWE Championship. It's Randy Orton, Cena, Punk, and Bryan. That's the main event, a fatal four-way TLC match. Daniel Bryan gets screwed over by the Wyatt family, which means he'll join the Wyatt family, which he'll eventually turn on them at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. More on that later. But the main of the WWE Championship match for Royal Rumble will be Punk and Randy Orton, and we do another fast count. But instead of Randy Orton losing the belt, uh, he keeps it because Triple H and Stephanie always favorite their guys. So this makes him major heels. And then CM Punk just loses it. He says, fuck this. He walks out. And then CM Punk actually walks out. Hopefully, this will be similar to the Montreal Screwjob, just not as epic. But this will get people talking for sure. And onto the Royal Rumble, the final four are Roman Reigns, Batista. The final five, let's go with that. The final five are Brock Lesnar, Batista, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Bray Wyatt. Daniel Wyatt, to say the least. Daniel Bryan is part of the Wyatt family up to this point. But Brock Lesnar is killing it. Roman Reigns has tied Kane with the most eliminations until he eliminates Brock Lesnar, giving him 12 eliminations. People are marking out, but then Batista ruins his moment, throws him out of the ring, and people are booing. So then Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan team up, and they eliminate Batista. Bray Wyatt tells Daniel Bryan to leave or to eliminate himself. And then as it looks like he's gonna do it, Daniel Bryan just sneaks in, grabs Bray Wyatt, throws, and people are shocked. You don't hear anything, you don't hear any music, and then Daniel Bryan rips his Wyatt gear, and then you'll see him with his original gear, and they say, "Here's your winner," and the 2014 Royal Rumble winner, Daniel Bryan. People mark out, people chanting yes. At Elimination Chamber, we do Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan, which Bray Wyatt will win. At the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, we're going to do Randy Orton, John Cena, Christian, Sheamus, Antonio Cesaro, and replacing Daniel Bryan like in real life, it's going to be Roman Reigns because that's going to get people marking out for Roman Reigns even more. We'll see what kind of guy he is in the main event picture. We keep it the same. The final two are Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. Roman Reigns is about to hit a spear, but then Randy Orton catches it with an RKO. 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton is still your WWE champion, and then it ends with Daniel Bryan coming out and beating the shit out of Randy Orton, and people run home happy. So what the hell does this mean next? So at WrestleMania, we have the main event, which is Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan, but first he beats Triple H in the opening match. Brock Lesnar faces Batista because that match would be pretty kick-ass if you ask me. The Shield versus the Wyatt family. The Shield are like kind of like going back and forth on each other. We still keep the Andre Battle Royal. If you want the Divas opening thing, whatever, sure. The Divas Invitational, whatever that was, keep that, fine. But people are gonna be like, "What the hell is John Cena gonna do?" Now, to tease the audience, people are going to be like, who the hell is John Cena going to face? It's rumored that he's going to face Christian because he was in the chamber match. Who's he going to face? Is he going to face Alberto Del Rio? Is he going to face Sheamus? People are like pretty bummed out because John Cena doesn't have a legit opponent. People are in the internet are like, God damn it, John Cena deserves a good match. With the year he gave us, he just fuck with the fans. That's the best thing you could always do. But John Cena is like here. In the first episode of Raw after the Chamber, the main event segment is John Cena with a contract. He says, I already signed my name, but I want someone to come out there, someone who I know can stand here with me, someone who could legitimately beat me. And that is when you hear gong. You haven't seen The Undertaker since WrestleMania 28. This is the first time you see him, and Undertaker comes out. He grabs the pen on John Cena, stabs it on him, puts the blood on the paper, and then it's Undertaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania 30, where John Cena will end the streak. People are like gonna be shocked that that happened, but it makes sense because the Undertaker was gonna retire at 20-0, and he came back and he screwed it up for himself. So now he has to live with that, and then that will be an even different story for the Undertaker down the road. As far as what John Cena does next, the Shield at this point are kind of their own people, so the Shield doesn't really need John Cena anymore. But now he's talking about um how him beating the streak is gonna change everything. I told you that nobody could beat me, and this and that, and that is when we have Bray Wyatt come out. They have a promo on the Titantron. The lights are all out, and then the lights open up, and it's Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in the ring. They beat the crap out of Cena. People are cheering Bray Wyatt because he's the guy who, uh, he's the new guy, and John Cena's the guy who just beat the streak. So at Extreme Rules, we'll do Cena Wyatt steel cage match. Keep that part the same for the most part of Bray Wyatt beating him. Make it more believable that he could win. Bray Wyatt, I should say. And then at a payback, we'll do the last man standing match. Um, Probably not have the Usos interfere because they're baby faces, but I would have throughout the nights, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan get their asses kicked by John Cena, so that way it's a fair fight. John Cena buries Bray Wyatt, and that will lead to the Fiend down the road. Then we do the vacant world title match where winner the vacant ladder match where for the world title John Cena wins like in real life. He becomes a 15-time world champion. Around this time, Cesaro's getting over. If you guys remember my Cesaro video, um, John Cena faces him at Battleground. John Cena wins, and then we have Brock Lesnar. And this will be a different type of match because it's heel versus heel. And this is a different tone of John Cena. This is a different side of John Cena. But little do we know is that Brock Lesnar is still a beast. So Brock Lesnar beats him again. Oh shit, my bad. And then little by little, you notice that John Cena is starting to turn babyface because Brock Lesnar is not going to be wrestling again anytime soon. And around this time, he starts to become babyface, but he starts beefing with the authority because he's like, yeah, I get injured. That's what you guys do. Someone gets injured and you just give up on them, even if they've carried this company for a decade. So it makes more sense that John Cena is now a babyface. So we do Team Cena versus Team Authority. We have that Sting moment and everything. Around this time, he starts beefing with Rusev, like in real life. And for the most part, we keep everything back to normal. Yeah, around this time, we'll keep everything back to normal because there's really nothing else I could do up to this point. But if you guys are wondering what the card of WrestleMania 31 will look like, it'll be Cena versus Rusev, Taker versus Wyatt. He returns. Honestly, I'd keep the card the exact same way. The only thing I would change is Antonio Cesaro, the IC champion, faces Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar faces Daniel Bryan in the main event. We keep that the same. That's about it. It's me, the ALE XX Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out.